Okay, it is election night, midterms 2022. This is the Independence Gang, kind of. Actually, we've got three including me, two without me in the count, of our normal guest panelists joining us right now. We're going to be talking about the returns as they come in. We've got JR, we've got Battle Axe with us tonight. And I don't know about you, JR, but I'm unusually nervous about these particular elections. Tonight's midterms has me more anxious in a nervous way than I think any election maybe the presidential ones aside, but certainly any midterm election in the past. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I hear you, because the significance seemingly is so great this time. The current direction of the country in basically every regard seems to be going the wrong direction, and it's just hard to fathom that we can't have a mid-course correction of consequence, with the other option being we continue down the same road for 2 more years. It just seems like that would be really a disaster for the country, and we should feel more confident than we do, I think. But the Republicans have shown many times that they're not immune to screwing something up. As simple as a ham sandwich. So it'll be interesting to see how. And I think the other thing is there's a lot of close races, at least statistically. Whether these polls are accurate, who the heck knows? But it is certainly some tight races that the Republican side needs to win to really take both houses of Congress. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, I heard someone say along the way, maybe it's been said a lot of times, I don't know, but the Republicans never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. And Battle Axe, I'm kind of feeling that. I look at these polls and I say to myself, given the state of this country right now, particularly compared to what it was like 2 years ago, and given not just domestically, but look at what's happening internationally, where we actually have a credible threat of a nuclear conflict on the planet right now, on the globe right now. That hasn't happened really in earnest since 1963, 62, whenever the Cuban Missile Crisis was 63, I think it was. Yet the polls are tight. This should, in my mind, again, I'm a little biased here, Battle Axe, but in my mind, this should be a blowout. People should be so angry, whether it's about inflation, the border, international and foreign affairs, energy prices, and looming shortages. The list is long, but people should be so pissed this shouldn't even be close, but yet it seems close.
So let's take first things first. The first thing is somebody won $2 billion in California, Altadena, California.
Oh, that wasn't me? Damn it.
No, sorry. It wasn't.
I was counting
on that.
It wasn't
me either. I had a plan. I was going to buy CNN. I was going to buy Facebook. I mean, I had a master plan. Anyway, so that's gone. But the good news is that the government, I think, the federal government gets 37% of that. Something 40% of that, the federal government, and that's going to go to Zelensky. Yay, Zelensky! Yeah, this is exciting. I'm so excited, so happy. So that's something to look really forward to. I'm very happy about that. But yeah, I've been watching the election results come in, and with the dreaded mail-in ballots, and Carrie Lake going live, and the shenanigans going on in Maricopa County, and in Buckhead. In Atlanta, I don't know if anybody knows what audience knows where Buckhead is. Mm-hmm. And, it's a affluent community, and there's been some shenanigans. Oh, I'm sorry, it doesn't work this years. Of course, they've been preparing. And it is really, it can be nerve-wracking. But I say, you know what? It's Topless Tuesday. Let's start tipping.
Talking about election night problems, in a nation of this size, with this many this many specific polling places and districts, there are bound to be some problems here or there. We're going to have to accept that. However, some of them rise to the surface here when you start asking questions. And the one in Luzerne County, JR, which you probably have heard of, I don't know if you've had a chance to pay attention to what's going on with that level of detail yet, but they ran out of paper ballots. Now, we all know Republicans, for the most part, come out on election day. Democrats, for the most part, make up the bulk of mail-in early voting. So who does running out of ballots hurt most? And yeah, they can get more ballots after 90 minutes of standing in line, but who does that hurt?
Oh, I think we know the answer to that, and I know Luzerne County actually very well. I've had a timeshare in Luzerne County, which is basically just south of Scranton Wilkes-Barre and just west of the Poconos. So, and then the other interesting one, as soon as it came out of the announcer's mouth, I was listening to, Maricopa County had some issues, and I just went, oh God, here we go again. I think I heard a collective groan across the country, at least on one side of the aisle, that they had, and I guess it's nothing too suspect at this point, but it was just, again, one of those many things that can happen in a country of our consequence. But the fact that it happened in a seeming hot spot that was really a big issue 2 years ago, was just starting the election night off here on the wrong foot, it seems like. But hopefully we have that fair and honest election that we have been hoping for the last 2 years after all of the issues in 2020. So I guess it will remain to be seen as the polls keep closing here, and we'll see how it starts to line up. I agree with you. It should be an absolute tsunami, but it's with the polls having been so off the last however many elections, that you just can't trust them. So it really brings a level of uncomfort, especially after 2020, that we all are feeling a little bit, I think, this year, even if you're the most non-conspiracy person, or just the most objective. I'm not quite there. I'm with you. It just it's so important, and yet we still feel pretty uneasy with seemingly the cards lined up for a red wave. I hope that's what happens, because we certainly need material change, and we need it now.
Yeah, I just want to.
Can I just jump in real quick?
Go ahead, Bia.
So, from the election wizard, race alert, Florida governor, our governor, America's governor, Ron DeSantis, 60%. Christ is 38%, and it said estimated 2% less reporting or less. So that's just what I came in. 19 seconds, election wizard. So, the Dems, though, the Dems say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That's their motto.
I just want to let people know this is going to, we're definitely shooting from the hip here. We're all watching different sources of information. We're going to try to bring things to you as we can. We can't verify anything. So when we read something off of a screen or something, we're relying on the source that is reporting it to have verified the information, but we will just report stuff as we see it. And right now we're going to bring in our good friend and another very, very important member of our panelist group, Vince. Vince, you're on location, right? You're embedded somewhere. What's going on? What are you seeing?
Well, right now, I know I can tell you that what we're seeing is turnout is up. I don't think we're looking at historic numbers, but it's definitely higher than most elections, if you will. So that's actually a decent sign, I think, overall nationally for the good guys, because in the right places around the country, that's a sign that the red districts is. I think it's something we've discussed before. The red districts are going to be red tonight. That also means the purplish districts could be leaning a little red if that's the way it's going to go. I think we're in for a long night. I think it's going to be tight for that, especially the House race. I think the Senate is going to be iffy, but that could get close. We'll know. We'll know by I would say 9:30 or so how the Senate's looking, and the House may take a little longer to flesh out, because I actually think the House is going to come down to California tonight. There's a lot of toss-up seats there. And
come down to California for a majority or for a big win?
Well, to solidify how large the majority for the Republicans could be, I think it's going to be important, those seats. I know we talked about a lot of the toss-up seats in New York, and I got to tell you, the turnout right now is it's going to be okay in New York, but it's not favorable necessarily in the big picture in New York tonight. So
not favorable for Republicans. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there's huge turnout in New York City tonight.
I'd heard earlier in the day that the turnout was light. I guess it's catching up now. But Vince, I mean,
New York City's on tap for the second largest turnout in a gubernatorial election in modern history. So, yeah.
Well, the dead are voting, so.
No. Unfortunately, there's a lot of liberal
zombies,
New York City folks who are living and voting. Probably were very influenced over Roe v. Wade and issues like that. So that's going to be something to contend with tonight there.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think nationally it's looking good in a lot of places.
Well, we're still going to hold out hope for Lee Zeldin. I know that you're going to be getting returns, New York, local returns where you are. So, and I know you've got I don't know what your schedule is, but you'll be popping in and out through the night to update us and to comment on the things that are going on. I do have reports coming in from our chat room. And again, I just want to pass this stuff on. Xanadu is saying that Carrie Lake is being attacked. Does anybody know what that is? What it's about? Has anybody seen anything about her being attacked? I don't know if she means verbally or physically. I don't know.
Verbally?
Yeah, I don't know what I asked and I haven't gotten a reply yet here. So we'll continue to monitor it. One more question, Vince, before I let you go, because I know you got to change locations to where you are.
No worries. You're good.
What happens tomorrow if Lee Zeldin doesn't win? Do New York politics change at all?
That's a great question. I think there has to be a serious post-mortem in the state of New York about what it takes to actually beat back this very leftist agenda that seems to it's able to get front and center, in our case, every 2 years. And the Democrats can very easily exploit that, especially when you have a blue state where you're 3-1, if not more. It's more like 3.5-1 enrollment disadvantage. If you're in New York, you've heard a lot about the number of people who've left the state and have taken off for southern states, either the Carolinas or Florida or not. I hate to tell you, what we're finding out of those people, those were Republicans that left. And they're most likely upstate Republicans who left. And as soon as the upstate votes aren't there, it makes it a lot easier for New York City to take over in these elections. So, and it's not hard for them to go and get, like I said, like tonight, it looks like it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of between 1.8 and 2 million voters. To put that in perspective, it was 2.1 million voters in New York City in 2018, 4 years ago in the gubernatorial election. And they got all those people out just warning them that you had to come out and vote against Trump. And that's easy to do in a very blue state like this. But there has to be a serious postmortem, JV, about how we're going to do these elections. And I got to be honest with you, I've already had a number of people tell me tonight that it's time to split the state in two. And probably do it.
Yeah, well, that comes up every once in a while, and there's a lot of reasons that's appealing.
I think you're going to hear it if this election goes the way that it's signaling right now. I think you're going to be hearing that drum beat a lot louder and a lot more seriously, possibly in the coming months.
All right, Vince, check in with us later. I know you got to run, and we'll look forward to hearing back from you. All right. So, has anybody heard anything else as we're
update? Yeah. So Tim Scott, who is senator for South Carolina, the state that I am in, he won his reelection against Crystal Matthews, who I don't know if you all know, but Crystal Matthews is a woman who hates white people. She got caught twice on Project Veritas talking about her pimp money, her don't money. And she also said, we got to keep white people under my thumb and, a lot of expletives. And then she refused to drop out of the race. So Tim Scott, he is solid in South Carolina. He loves the military. He's a great guy. He's a really nice guy. Like him, be a little tougher, alpha man, but anyway, we'll take him. And also, via election wizard, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, my alpha woman, wins re-election to the U.S. House in Georgia's 14th congressional district. I'm very happy about that.
Did Marjorie Taylor Greene have a serious opponent? I know that she, she's very well liked in her district. Was her opponent a serious contender? Was that close at all or not? Anybody know?
In my unprofessional opinion, I don't think so. I mean, she's so well loved and she's on fire. I didn't even hear anybody who was running against her. I'm sure there was, but was past tense because she won. Right. So really happy about that. So that's via election wizard. And Tim Scott, after Crystal Matthews debacle, we knew he was going to get in, but they cheat all day long. So we're good on that.
All right. That's good.
Yep. Rand
I just
Paul
saw-
has been projected to win. I'm sorry, that's it, but that's not final. So
we're going to welcome Trish to the group here. Good to see you. I want to before you. Did you have something breaking, JR, that you wanted to mention, or?
I was just going to say, I saw on CNN here, 8% in, Warrock is up over Walker, 70 to 28.
Oh yeah, well,
70% to 20 with 8% in. So my question is that the early voting, that they're all just aggregating immediately, that impacts those numbers, because it's not like 1%, it's 8% in.
Right.
So that's kind of crazy numbers at this point.
Well, we'll definitely be keeping on that race. Keep an eye on it. That's an important one. Trish, what's I don't think DeSantis has any issues, nothing there to worry about. But what's the mood of Florida?
Well, we had some interesting things happen today. The DOJ decided to pay a visit to Florida and decide that it was going to butt into our state elections. So that I'll be very interesting to see what happens with that issue. They went down to Broward County, which, I mean, it makes sense. Broward County it's the bluest county in Florida, and it's had lots of problems. That was the county that had the boxes of ballots showing up in rental cars at the airport back in 2016. And so they've had their fair share of issues. But yeah, I found it interesting that the DOJ decided that they were going to come in and they were going to observe our state elections, which last time I checked, that was out of their purview. So we will see what happens with that breaking development down here in Florida.
Yeah, I want to actually play a video here. Biden made a couple speeches over the weekend. He wasn't in very much demand during the course of the campaigns. Most candidates didn't want him anywhere near them, but he was campaigning for Kathy Hochul, the Democrat incumbent for governor in New York State. And he said a couple things that were pretty interesting in his comments. The first thing I want to share, and most people have seen this, but I want to talk about it, so I want to share it before I do. This is his comments, and at the end of the night, he wasn't thinking about the fact that he was still being recorded, and the camera was still on. If I can, there it is. If I can find it, it's kind of a hot mic moment, because he was done with his speech. And he's just answering a question to a girl who has shouted it from the crowd. But this is what Biden said. Remember where we are in this country with energy and gas prices. And this is what he says.
No more drilling. There is no more drilling. I haven't formed any new drilling.
4 years of offshore drilling.
No,
In the Atlantic or the Pacific, but in the Antarctic and off the Gulf of New Mexico, or off the Gulf of Mexico.
that was before I was president. We're trying to work on that, get that done. Thank you.
First of all, BA, these students are so stupid. They're cheering that. Among other things, they were cheering from Biden. But Biden, at that, he had already said his goodbyes, and he still had the mic in his hand, and he's answering the question from the girl who was asking about drilling. And then she went through a bunch of things like, well, they're still drilling in the Gulf, they're still drilling in Alaska. And he's like, yeah, that was all before. We're ending it. We're ending it. This is one of those occasions, BA, where Biden accidentally told the truth.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't believe that we're actually talking about this. I mean, we know, all four of us know, and probably some of the audience does know, but some of America doesn't know. He said he was going to stop drilling before they put the big steel in. He said this, so it's not a shock to me at all. But I'm sure it's a shock to his scriptwriters or his Hollywood agent. That's probably who's putting him up in this job, the Hollywood agent. But it's not a shock. So whenever I come across like brain dead liberals, which is, thank God, not a lot, I say, hey, well, I'm at the grocery store. Hey, can I have paper? Paper? Oh my gosh, paper's terrible. I'm like, actually, no, you can plant more trees. Your little plastic bag there comes from oil, darling. What? I didn't know. I just, I try to say it a little bit nicer, but it doesn't really come across. So actually, no, I'm not shocked whatsoever, because, and people call it gaffes. These are not gaffes. He does have some sort of vascular dementia, obviously, but he does tell the truth, and what he says is in line with what he said he was going to do before they put this resident in the White House. So I'm not shocked. And it's just keep it coming, keep it coming. But I wonder how those students got there. Did they walk? Did they use a broom? Like, how did they get there? I mean, it's gas that propels us to get to places. So it's just, he's a liar, he's a cheat, and he's totally off script, and people are sweating. But the lamestream media doesn't, they're, oh, well, ha ha ha, that's creepy Uncle Joe, no big deal. But until it happens, and it's probably going to happen soon. Look at diesel prices. We're going to be hit so hard with diesel prices. That's where everything's going up. Even though gas is maybe $3.02 down here in the South right now, the diesel is over $5, and that's why things are still expensive. But, Biden is just going to continue to go downhill. He's just going to melt like a milkshake in Florida on a hot summer day. And it's going to continue to happen. And so God help us, because we've got camel toe who's next. So we don't really know what's going to happen. It's just the hits keep on coming.
Yeah. JR, BA brings up the fact that, the students had to get to that rally in some fashion, most likely from a fossil fuel powered vehicle. But the other thing that I always talk about and point out, everything in their lives that they hold dear, particularly the cell phones that are in their hands, that are their lifeline to everything, that if it's misplaced for 30 seconds, they freak out. Without fossil fuels, we don't have those. Without fossil fuels, we don't have the computers that they do whatever they do on. Without fossil fuels, they don't have anything in their lifestyle that they're accustomed to that they probably can't live without. But they don't acknowledge that. Instead, they cheer Joe Biden when he says, I'm not going to be drilling anymore.
Anybody with any objectivity would have a difficult time cheering Joe Biden this far into his presidency. If they were really thinking, and it's not surprising, and I don't mean to generalize completely, but the 18-year-old to 25-year-old demographic, it's no mystery that the Dems were really working them with social media and other things to really turn out that demographic to vote, because they are still very idealistic and are going to cheer these kind of things without really thinking through in any depth. And again, I'm generalizing here, but they're very idealistic and save the planet, and that's more important than saving yourself, because the murder rate is going through the roof. The same as the abortion thing. It's just their lives are in danger, but they're worried more about their self-freedoms than the life of a child. So, the hot buttons that seemingly the left have really aren't and shouldn't be the most consequential in terms of this election, because of all of the material things that impact us on a daily basis. And the president's comments, 4 days out of an election on a hot mic, basically condemning the energy in the midst of trying to fuel your car, and the lack of diesel fuel that's coming down the pipe here literally after the election. There's going to be a shortage of that, and that's how a lot of our groceries are delivered. You can just see the pain that's going to continue and even accelerate after the election. So I agree. It's they got there somehow, but they're not thinking of the consequential negatives that certainly are in play in that fashion.
Yeah, once again, we're going to be bringing updates to you as we find them. Everybody here is monitoring various news sources, and if anybody has anything to say, just kind of either jump in or raise your finger or something like that. You have something, BA?
So LifeSite, lifenews.com, they're very reputable. DeSantis and Marco Rubio cruising easy wins so far with 27% in. DeSantis is at 54%, Crist is 44%, Rubio is 52%, and Demings is 46%. And that was just 4 minutes ago.
Okay, so I want to come to you in a sec, Trish, here, but Rebel is reporting in our YouTube chat that Kerry Lake's headquarters has been shut down indefinitely after a potential terrorist attack threat.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. You feel free to comment on anything, but I want to go back to something that JR said, Trish. He was talking about, Biden's comments And the reality of what this energy is doing to us, and these prices are doing to us, and these shortages are going to do to us, especially as we enter winter. But I also want to point out that the thing about that hot mic moment where Joe Biden is saying, yeah, there's not going to be any more drilling. He gets kind of mad at the girl, actually, because she challenges him on it. No more drilling. That, I don't know, 20 words, however many words he uttered there, those 20 words basically demonstrated how much he has been lying for the last 3 months when he's telling us that the oil companies aren't drilling enough. They have everything they need to drill more, blah, blah, blah. And he's been that completely proved the fact that he has been lying, which we knew, but maybe other people will catch on now.
Yeah, anybody with 2 brain cells knows that he just lies through his teeth. He's been doing nothing but lying. And I think part of the thing that really ticks me off the most about this whole fuel issue is that, they've put it off just long enough to get to the midterms. And now when the Republicans all win and everything goes to hell in a handbasket, because, we've already have places in Pennsylvania that have no diesel fuel. I saw a couple of pictures where people were putting like the little travel plazas that all the semis stop at on the interstates. They don't have diesel right now. So like, can they go anywhere? Nope, they're stuck. Like if they don't have any gas, then they have to stay. But they're going to make this chaos and then point the fingers and say, oh, look, the Republicans did it. See, it wasn't bad when we were in office, but when they got elected, that's when things went bad. So that's what ticks me off the most about that. And I have actually updated numbers for Florida, in case you're wondering. We've got 57% of the vote in. DeSantis is ahead 54-45 against Chris, so he's 9 points up. And Senate Rubio has 53, Demings 45.6. So he's a comfortable 8 points ahead. So we still got a lot of House seats that they said are way too early to call. So I don't see anything major happening in the House seats in Florida. We got a couple that may flop, so we'll see what happens. But I think all in all, situation normal here in Florida.
Yeah.
Other than the DOJ.
We're all jealous, especially those of us in New York. BA has got a pretty good situation in South Carolina, too. In New York, though, we are in
Come on down.
liberal hell. I do want to play another Biden cut. We never miss an opportunity to show how poorly this man's brain is functioning at this point. And this I thought was pretty interesting. Again, from the same set of comments over the weekend at Sarah Lawrence University as he was campaigning for Kathy Hochul.
Look what happened. My friend Paul, I shouldn't even get in. I'll get going.
He couldn't remember Paul's last name. I'm going to play it again. He couldn't remember Pelosi.
Look what happened. My friend Paul, I shouldn't even get in. I'll get going.
So I cut the clip there, BA, but if I extended it for another 20 seconds or so, eventually he remembers it's Paul Pelosi. He had to do it by way of invoking Nancy Pelosi's name, and it brought him to where he could put it all together and remember who the hell he was talking about. This is the president of the United States, and we can't figure out why things are in such a mess.
The resident. No, he didn't remember. I'm sure somebody in his ear told him, it's Pelosi, come on. Testing, 1, 2, 3. I've seen that actually when he's talking, and he doesn't have any cue cards, and he's talking, he's got something in his ear, and he mispronounces something, and then immediately he corrects himself, immediately. So there's some sort of twisting going on. Maybe he's got some sort of electronic nipple rings and shocks him to wake him up. I don't know something's happening. That's what's happening.
Cuomo.
Yeah.
That's Cuomo.
I tell you, I thought this was kind of interesting. Let's see if I have the. I'm not sure where. Oh yeah, okay. So watch this video, and then I have a still. It's from the same speech, but you'll see the giant screen behind the audience, which is giving him his lines, and he misspeaks them. It's kind of interesting. But after we watch the video, I'll throw the still up.
2 days is the most important election in our lifetimes. It's going to take shape in this country for decades to come. We're one of those inflection points.
Okay, so he says it's going to take shape in the country, but you look, actually, it says that's going to shape our country for decades to come. So he can't even really read the thing right. But look at that screen. I said, do they all do that? I mean, does everybody need that, or is this? I don't know. Anybody want to jump on that?
That's just him. And he didn't even know. Yeah, he couldn't tell you what an inflection point was to save his life.
I'm
just telling you, he doesn't know what inflection point means.
Right. Yeah. I don't doubt
End
that.
quote.
JR, while we're chatting here, you want to check those Georgia numbers, because I just saw something flash by that they might be there might be some more returns in. It
is narrowing. With last I saw 13%, it was 59-39. So I think there was just an overload up early on Warnock's part.
Yeah. Yeah.
All those mail-in ballots that they started scanning.
Yeah.
I have real trouble.
You know that's going to happen again.
I have real trouble thinking that Kathy Hochul, she kind of scares me. She kind of is a frightening person. Watch this.
He's here tonight because he knows there's no place better in the entire United States of America than New York. Who doesn't want to come to New York? Of course he's here in New York. Of course he's here. This is the greatest place to be, so don't question why someone comes to New York. Everybody wants to come to New York.
No, we don't.
BA, do you want to come to New York?
Maybe if I were an illegal alien, but I guess I'm not going to be allowed to go on Martha's Vineyard. That's nobody can go to Martha's Vineyard. But she, of course, I'm going to go off subject just a bit. She and Nancy Pelosi go to the same doctor, I think, because they're both like this. Oh my gosh, I cannot stop watching those eyebrows. They just are both like this. Maybe a little, there's that left eyebrow. I don't know who wants to come to New York. I have some people up in New York who just want to get out. They just want to leave New York, and they're not leaving because it's their home, upstate. And I want to go to New York so somebody could push me onto the subway. Maybe I can sue New York City. Maybe that I can have body armor. Maybe that's the plan. But I don't understand who wants to do that. I mean, she's mental.
She's
New York
nuts.
is safe.
She's nuts.
She's totally mental.
Trish, I understand needing to be a cheerleader for the state that you are governor of and want to continue to be governor of. But you're in Florida. Do you want to come to New York? Would you rather be up here?
Hell no. And wasn't Mayor Adams just begging for people to come back to New York who all fled to Florida?
Yep.
Because they all came down here for freedom. And now, so listen, Hochul she's beaten a dead cow. Like, everybody knows that New York is in trouble. It's in big trouble. I mean, when I was watching videos today while I was at work. I should have been working, but I was watching videos on Twitter about the different. Like, they had a Lee Zeldin parade on the Upper East Side. I was like, what? What? A Republican car parade? I was like, this is crazy. Like, I've never seen anything like it. And I mean, honestly, I as much as I hate to say it, maybe Giuliani needs to come back and run again for like, maybe we need Rudy again, because Rudy cleaned up New York the first time.
Yeah.
Maybe he can come back and do it again, because like we need him like really bad. So I hope that New York gets it together. I mean, I keep looking and their election results is still saying 0%. So I'm kind of annoyed.
Where, in New York?
But yeah.
Yeah, well, polls don't close until 9 p.m. Polls don't close until 9 p.m.
Oh, okay, that's why. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So they close at 7 here. So
JR, I know.
Just a quick
go ahead.
A quick update. Sorry. Lifenews.com. They love the babies in the womb. Thank you, God. Pro-life Senator Rand Paul wins re-election in Kentucky. So thank the Lord.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Obviously, I think we were pretty comfortable there, but we anytime they come in officially, then we feel good about it. JR, are you seeing anything? And do you know anybody that's dying to come to New York, move to New York?
Just the opposite. And statistically, for at least the last 20 years, New York has been in the top 5% of states, leading the nation in net migration loss. So, and then in a lot of years, we led the nation in net migration loss. We might be behind California right now, because they're leaving in droves too, to Arizona and Vegas and those places. So, but something very interesting I just saw, of the statistics we're seeing in Georgia, it said that 99% of what's being reported right now is actually the early voting totals. So, and it said that 61% of the total vote is expected to be early voting. So we're seeing some of these Georgia candidates. Abrams is ahead of Kemp, and Warnock is ahead of Walker, but it's all in the early voting, and the Dems were certainly ahead of the Republicans in the early voting totals by quite a bit, most places, if not everywhere. So, I think it's don't send off any alarm bells yet. It's not very telling because it's kind of an unfair fight as far as the totals go at this point.
BA, one state, and I don't know how many states are like this, but I know, and I learned it tonight, that New Hampshire is still a state that honors a single election day. You go and vote that day, which is today. And if you can't make it to the polls for whatever reason, you file an application for an absentee ballot, and you can vote via absentee ballot. But other than that, there is no mass mail-in voting, and there's no extended voting. Do you think that makes a difference in that particular race, given the fact that it seems to be so close there, A, and B, shouldn't all states have a model, go back to a model that's much more similar to what New Hampshire is doing currently?
Yes and yes. Trump always said, and I always thought this too, you go in, bring your number 2 pencil, or, you fill out the ballot, you make the circle, you're done. And if it closes at 7, you're done. If you get there at 7:05, you're done. You can't vote. That's it. And I have a real problem with mail-in ballots. And down here in South Carolina, which is red, but there's a lot of people moving down here, and I'm kind of concerned about a lot of Northerners coming down here. If they're liberal or not. They allowed 2 weeks to early vote down in South Carolina. Why would you do that? So they see the numbers like, oh, we just have to make up. I'm just throwing a number. 100 more. We'll just put 101 for Democrats. It's so stupid. It's not rocket science. So I say same day voting, have your ballot in on that same day. And that's it. No exceptions, military. Okay. Obviously, I understand that, but absolutely. I mean, the Dems need to see how much they need to make up. That's why they stopped the election in 2020, stop the presses. Let's stop the counting. And it's just the same old playbook, and the rhinos are doing nothing. But we definitely need to change. That's why you need to make the 10th Amendment great again, wherever state you're in, even if you're New York or in California. You got to put your elected officials, the feet to the fire. You've got to get same day voting. If you can do that, I really think that we could get some secure elections and have some confidence. There is no confidence, and there's people that I know, I'm not going to vote. I'm like, are you insane? They're just going to steal it. So there's people that haven't voted just because of that, and it chaps my hide.
Yeah, well, that's one of the real problems with this discussion of voter fraud and the cheating that's going on and likely still going on, Trish, is that it does demotivate some folks to actually want to participate in the process, and that's the worst thing that can happen. I just want to point out that 2 governor's races have been called as well. Ohio and South Carolina both called for the Republicans, obviously DeWine and Henry McMaster in South Carolina.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, so those were called pretty much immediately.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, pretty much immediately.
Thank you.
But Trish, that's part of the problem with this discussion. Right. I mean, we want to acknowledge problems in the system where they exist, but we certainly don't want to discourage anybody from getting out and voting, because that's the only way it's going to ultimately be fixed.
Right. Yeah. If you don't vote, it'll never get fixed. So you got to vote, because we got to get the people in who are going to fix it. And that's the only way we can get them in, is if we vote them in. So that's the worst thing you could ever do, is not vote. Florida update. DeSantis is up 13 points. Rubio is up 10. And just in case you guys were wondering just how committed the Hispanic community is to the Conservative Party, Miami, which is Florida's 27th district, includes Miami proper, is now sitting at 56% Republican, 44% Democrat.
Amen.
In Miami.
Wow.
Amen. So the tide has turned.
In case the tide has turned with the Hispanic community in especially Florida, like you can really see it. So there's literally just that the big patch of blue is between, all the suburbs, the northern suburbs of Miami and West Palm Beach. That's it. That's blue. Like, you got Tallahassee, little bit of Orlando in there. But it's the blues are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's good to hear. But yeah, it looks like I have no doubt that that DeSantis has this locked up. It's just a matter of how much, right? So like I was predicting 15 points. So we'll see. We've only got 66% of the vote in. So and
That's good
Georgia
news.
just updated. Yeah, Georgia just updated 18% in. Abrams is leading Kemp, but it's only 18%
Yeah,
in. So
yeah.
Early voting.
That's unheard.
Yeah.
and that's all
crazy.
early
I'm
voting
sorry.
stuff. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, it's all early voting.
I want to
Which-
thank.
Yeah.
I just want to thank Castle Drummer for the contribution and saying F Joe Biden. We all agree, I think. And then there was a comment here from, where did it go? I can't find it now. Shoot. Someone said that New York City is screwing up all of New York State. And I just want to point out that Vince, who is a regular guest panelist on the program and was on earlier tonight and will be back later, said that he's really engaged in New York politics. He's kind of got his finger on the pulse there. He said that he feels after this particular election, particularly if Zeldin loses the governor's race, that there will be a really strong and concentrated effort to split New York into two states. Downstate, which is 2% of the total land mass, but they have 80% of the population. They control where JR and I are in upstate. We have very little say in the outcome of New York politics because the legislature in New York is completely controlled by downstate Democrats. So that would be interesting if that happened. So I didn't mean to. Someone was about to give some information, but I just wanted to offer that.
No, I'm just.
I
What about
totally-
an electoral college?
I agree. Exactly. Thank you, Trish. I've been asking this for years and years now. We have an electoral college. That's why we're a constitutional republic, not a democracy, kids, right? So why don't we have an electoral college in each state? Because New York City leads New York by the nose. Los Angeles, San Francisco, they lead California by the nose. Atlanta, come on. Why can't we have that? Now, we did have that years ago, I think back in the 1800s, and maybe some of our historians would know, maybe JR would know. But we did. But I think that we need to bring that back because it's unfair. The same thing, California and New York, if it were population, then they would leave the entire country. And so New York City, you guys are prisoners in New York, upstate New York, to New York City. I mean, it's asinine.
Yeah. JR, what are you saying? I gotta work on something here. We're bringing in Matt Couch and I just got to set it up. So if you just kind of lead this for a moment.
Yeah, I'll just say update Abrams 52, Kemp 47 now. With what was the percentage there? I think it was 28% or something like that. So my sense of this from seeing things early here, the Dems have definitely had more early voting, probably across the board. So what's going to make this a long night is the Republicans will catch up, at least in some regard, but it's going to make for a long night because, the Republicans are certainly going to be overweighted towards the end. And so all of these blue leads are going to be the biggest they are now. So I think it's important to recognize that as you see these early returns, it's like, oh, geez, it all is lost. But I don't think that's the case. I just think it's the timing of the early voting, which is prevalent in, almost every state. I mean, New York, I think this was the first election for early voting, first consequential election. We never had that before. And like we just talked about in New Hampshire, how ideal would that be if we were back to basically voting on election day and eliminate the early voting? And if you truly can't vote, have a real issue, then you get an absentee ballot. And that was the traditional way we voted for 100 years. And now you open it up, for potential manipulation and media control of a dialogue that may or may not even exist, but just appears that way because of the fact that the Dems vote early. And why do they do that? I guess I applaud them in some ways because they've figured out how to do that, and the Republicans have not. So I don't know if it's money, if it's part of their playbook that they just learned how to execute. but they certainly are way ahead of the Republicans as far as pulling that off and swaying the numbers and certainly giving themselves some, seemingly momentum, whether it's valid or not. It certainly gives that appearance.
Matt,
Hello, Matt Couch.
Yeah, welcome to the program, Matt. Good to see you. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? How are you doing? All those three. Answer the last one first.
Yeah. Sober so far. We'll see how this continues. We'll see if this trend continues here tonight. So far, phone. I just had a miss. You didn't try to call me from New York, did you, JV?
No.
Okay, lovely.
I did
That's
text
awesome.
you,
That's
but I think you got that because you're connected.
No, that was a phone call. That's probably Letitia James. She's probably added me to Trump's suit. I'm excited. Good news for me on election night. No, I'm really looking at this Lee Zeldin situation. Looking like he may take one of the 5 boroughs in New York and possibly
Staten Island, probably.
Staten Island. Well, yeah, and then also looking at Long Island, which is his stomping grounds. Which it's very interesting. This race has the whole country, looking at it from a different perspective. But it's concerning. I've been trying to tell people all day. I've been on several other shows, but this is home for me. You guys are family, so this is where I want to be as much as I can. And my dumbass overcommitted to be on like 7 networks or whatever, so I'm just popping in and out. This is as dressed up as I'm going to get tonight, and threw on the old Trump bus tour jacket and said to hell with it. But I'm concerned for the shutdowns of polling places that we're seeing. Go ahead, JR. I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh, I was just going to say your bandana's gone. It must be election night.
Yeah, it is election night. He's still here in case we have to kick some ass or something. He's still hanging out, but I'm concerned for that. But the thing that I noticed, and people just can't help themselves. They love panic, fear, and all you could see throughout the afternoon was Republicans going, "Oh my God, it's happening!" And I'm sitting there going, "Shut the hell up! Stop discouraging people. Take pictures, take videos. Stop being idiots, and document it, and get your ass to the polls." I mean, you can't do anything tonight. If you have a phone, all we heard was all of these theories and stories in 2020 with no evidence. Sorry for, the MyPillow guy who won't give me a pillow code, and he's a friend. But my point is, there's no proof here, guys, other than a few algorithms that they want to throw at you, that you can't teach. It's not like Black Sheep with Chris Farley and David Spade, where he's like, 800 people live in Booger County and 2,000 voted in Booger County. We don't have that. So my point is, if you see problems, take pictures, record it, do the right thing, but at the same time, don't discourage the vote. Because when people start, and New York's polls are open for another hour and 6 minutes, folks. They're open until 9 p.m. on the East Coast. So if you're in New York right now, you're watching, and I know it's going to be a big audience for you guys tonight. I could already see just on, my feed, it was up over 3,000 or 4,000. It looks like, it's really rolling. And that's great because people are in tune to what's going on, and I expect a big showing for the Indie Gang tonight. I'm sharing it everywhere. But my point is, don't discourage the vote. I don't care what state you're in. If you see stuff, that's great. Take a picture, take a video, but shut up and go grab 10 friends and get to the polls, JV. I don't understand that concept of doom and gloom discouragement. We need this to be an all-out assault at the ballot box. Everybody from the family cat to to your aunt, your crazy aunt should be voting right now. I mean, if the Democrats can vote with dead people, we can surely use cats and dogs, right?
Yeah, I think that's only fair. I think that's reasonable and fair. But, Matt, you're right, and we talked about it a little bit earlier. We do need to root out problems in the system. I won't call it cheating, but I'll just call it problems in the system for now. We need to root that out. But simultaneous to that, we need to continue to win at the ballot box, and we got to win by margins that are greater than they can cheat to change. Or the problems can change, and we're seeing some of those pop up around the system. Trish, jump in here if you've got any new results that you want to talk about. I see you looking at a screen there, or anybody else for that matter, but yep. I want to kind of keep us as up to date as we can be.
Now, the polls are closed getting better in Florida, right, Trish? Except for the
yes, they closed at 7. Closed? Right. Okay. Yeah, they closed at 7. So right now DeSantis is up 14 points. Rubio is up 12 points. So, yeah, and it's kind of funny. I actually just saw on Twitter a video of MSNBC bringing up the results for Miami-Dade, and they literally went, they they have no idea about how Cubans feel down here.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is the most. They are so out of touch with what Hispanic voters in Florida want. And Hispanic voters in Miami-Dade are making it very clear what they want. And to see MSNBC and Rachel Maddow go, what? Oh, what? Yeah, that was butter on my soul right there. It felt wonderful.
I was going to say this too. Mike Cernovich put this out, and I'm seeing the same numbers across the country in almost every state. It's not a presidential election, but if it holds to what we're seeing right now from a numbers standpoint, this is going to be the biggest bloodbath we've ever seen probably in the history of our country in a midterm election. If everything holds true and we don't have the 1 a.m. shutdowns and the what ifs. But Mike Cernovich, I'll just read, says, red wave doesn't even begin to describe what's happening. The turnout doesn't even seem possible. Total destruction occurring. I don't even see how they can get away with cheating at this point because of the size of the Republican turnout. And that's what we've been trying to tell people for the last year and a half, JB, on this show. And,
Matt,
our show, this show.
How is that? How is he getting that information? Where's that assessment coming from? Do you have a sense?
He's a pretty connected guy. I mean, Cernovich is the guy who broke the Epstein story. I mean, he's a very connected individual, and one of the sources that I use and a friend. And so, but I mean, we're looking at different polling, information, internal polling, exit polling, things of that nature. In Arkansas, I've got Sarah Huckabee up 23 points right now over Chris Jones from what I'm seeing. But, that's where I don't like what I'm seeing just because I still don't feel that Musk has got Twitter under control, nor do I trust him. And I'm seeing a lot of the social media aspect of covering this and information concerns me. And I think the candidates did a great job of doing grassroots campaigning like Lee Zeldin did, like Ron DeSantis and Marco Rubio did down in Florida. Marco's got multiple people in the hospital that campaigned for him, for God's sakes.
But it was worth it, though, right?
Yeah, I guess
it was worth it. It took one for the team. Come on, took one for the team.
Yeah, and Sarah Huckabee, I was wondering about her strategy because I didn't see big rallies, but I noticed she would be at a cafe in a 12,000 person town with 800 people in the cafe, right? And doing that 2 or 3 times a day. And she's the front runner, the favorite, had almost $30 million in the bank. I'm looking, of course, at the Arizona concerns me with Carrie Lake and Katie Hobbs. I got them switched there. Mainly because Katie Hobbs should have recused herself, period. There's no way. There has to be something in every state. If you're the Secretary of State, you're the person who is in charge of the voting. You should not be the one that authorizes and initials the sign-off on a vote. That concerns me very much for Carrie Lake in Arizona. Blake Masters, with the independent endorsing him just a few days ago, the independent candidate, I think that's going to swing enough in the favor that Blake Masters wins the Senate race. I think Herschel Walker's the loser tonight out of the Senate stuff, possibly. Pray God Fetterman doesn't lose or doesn't win. I think that one's going to be very close. But Herschel Walker, from what I'm seeing on the polling, I don't know what you guys are seeing, but I don't, Trish, I don't think Herschel's going to win this. I could be wrong, but it's just right now. If you voted for a Democrat, you should punch yourself in the junk and never procreate. It's just that simple because you don't deserve to have children if you're this stupid. And I'll yield back, JV or JR. So you got a great panel here tonight, so anybody can talk. JV's over there like me, scrounging for information. I know what he's up to.
Yeah, and we're going to have other folks filtering in. We're going to have some that are here now take a little break so they can get something to drink and then come back. It's going to be rotating, which will have a lot of opinions.
Where's Vince at when we need him?
He's actually with a campaign tonight, and he checked in earlier. He'll be checking in a little bit later as well. Okay. I was asked in chat to check on the New Hampshire race. It looks like right now Baldock is down 35 to 62, but only 10% reporting. We got to remember the early numbers are most likely going to be mail-in votes that came in prior to Election Day, so we have to keep that in mind as well. I didn't realize there was a Libertarian running in Georgia in that Senate race. Last I saw, that Libertarian had 1.5%. That type of third-party candidate can steal just enough votes from a Republican candidate to make it a problem. Does anybody know anything about this Libertarian candidate that's running for Senate in Georgia? Because this is the first I've seen his name.
I didn't know until I just saw the results come in, and there was a third person up there. So that was news to me. But one thing, Matt, we just talked about maybe just before you came on was that as of about 15 minutes ago, all the reporting, 99% of it was early voting returns that were impacting these. So some of these races, hopefully the Walker Warnock race as well, is a function of the early voting returns, which the Dems, are utilized to a greater extent than the Republicans. So, I think what we're going to see is everything narrow. It just makes sense. So it's we don't need to be jumping off any bridges here yet. But if the trends don't start narrowing, then certainly then there's some alarm bells. So way too early for that. One I just saw here a couple minutes ago in Ohio, 13%, and Ryan was 62, Vance was 37. Again, I'm sure it's a complete function of the early voting numbers being, overweighted in that. So I think we're going to see that fairly consistently, except in the races that are not going to be close, and those are the ones we've called and that we've already seen.
I had Bud out in North Carolina facing Sherry Beasley. Ted Budd, the Republican. Trump back. For the U.S. Senate, that's another big one too that we can't afford to lose in North Carolina. That I think is going to be pretty close, unfortunately.
I want to.
Sorry. Could I jump in real quick?
Go ahead.
So South Carolina, that's where I'm. So I don't know if anybody knows who Mace is, Nancy Mace.
Oh yeah, of course.
Of course, District 1, that's right. And Katie Arrington ran and did not win. But this is kind of worrying right now. Anyway, keep voting. Let's see, what time is it? 8 o'clock. I think it might be done. So it has Mace, who's the Republican incumbent who, backstabbed Trump. And we all were tired of it. And a lot of us voted for Arrington. She is running against Democrat, I want to say socialist, Annie Andrews. And she wants to kill babies in the womb. That's all she's about is abortion, abortion, abortion. She's also for CRT. She's for trans kids. She's a complete nightmare. I mean, if we lose that seat, that's really not good. But it looks like South Carolina is holding its own as far as SOS. Mark Hammond, that's Republican. We've got State Treasurer, Attorney General Alan Wilson. We've got Comptroller General, State Superintendent of Education, because we have a real problem down here with CRT. It is a huge problem with Columbia and Charleston and Greenville. I mean, these people are mentally ill. We have tried to take out some books of, Pam wants to become Peter. I guess that's what you would say it. And, the backlash from the parents but the council, it's like the schools, that's really where it's at. So we're really fighting down here in South Carolina. And if anybody from New York wants to come and move down here and make our state redder, conservatives are welcome, of course. Liberals can go to hell. Yeah. But come on down. We really need help.
I want to jump back into New Hampshire, because I noticed some information here that's a little bit disturbing. We look at the, I got the numbers up here. Hopefully you can see them. But the Hassan Baldock race, she's leading 62 to 35.7. But look at the governor's race. It's in a dead heat. So the fact that Baldock is down by so much, yet the governor's race is basically tied at this point, I'd say, Matt, is a little bit troubling. Do you see anything else in those numbers?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case all night, JV, is people are going to look at things and go, now, wait a minute. How could they vote, this way, down ballot one way and then not this? It doesn't add up. And I think that's what was so crucial in 2020, that the Democrats and the media, when they call people election deniers, they're not looking at the things we're all looking at. We're going, wait a minute, how in the hell could this be neck and neck in this race? And then, Joe Biden, it was, 18 more people voted. People aren't buying it. It doesn't add up that you're going to vote all red except for that race. And I think that's what we're going to see here. New Hampshire's an interesting state. It's been leaning, because they have such a bad problem with drug trafficking in that state. It's been leaning more and more conservative over the last, a few election cycles, because they have a real problem. Believe it or not, they've got, a lot of fentanyl and trafficking issues up there, JV. So I think that's why there's a chance for it to go red, so to speak.
Well, it's the live free or die state. You'd think they'd be a little more conservative and a little more on top of things, given the fact that their motto seems to embrace the American spirit, but they don't certainly vote it that way all the time. What else we got? So I see in Ohio, it looks like Vance has an edge, but I also saw on CNN that they're saying Ryan has an edge. Anybody else got update numbers on the Ryan Vance race in Ohio? Anybody see that?
I think JD has a good shot to win this race. I really do, and I like JD. I think he's got the charisma to possibly carry it across here. I just don't see how these races, honestly, are this close in some areas as well.
Well, that's the thing.
It's alarming, right?
That's the thing. And we opened the program talking about that. The fact that things are so messed up in the country and people are so miserable because of what's happening. And 81%, depending on the poll you read, 81%, 75% say the country is heading in the wrong direction. Yet these polls are basically even in so many races. It just doesn't make any sense. It's bizarre to me. So either the polls are wrong or people are just screwed up.
Maybe a little of both. I mean, honestly, I think that's that's the issue.
Dead people are voting too, so that's a problem. And the zombies, they don't know. They're not thinking correctly.
Let's take a look at Georgia numbers here. I've got them. I'm pulling these numbers off of Fox News' reporting, if anybody needs to know that. But you can see that right now we've got Warnock at 55.7, Walker at 42.7, Abrams at 53, and Kemp at 46.5. So these are still early returns. 25% of precincts reporting. Again, I think this is probably mostly mail-in ballots. BA, any of this surprise you?
I'm actually shocked because I lived in Georgia for a while and I go back there and I am shocked because Georgia is red, Atlanta is blue. So I'm a little worried about the numbers with Abrams. She's got a bunch of Soros money in Hollywood, but I'm really shocked with Warnock, really, because Herschel is beloved. Go Dogs. And I am a little shocked and I'm biting my lip a little bit. But like I said, Georgia is completely blue except for Atlanta. And everybody can't stand Atlanta. We want to kick them out. But I know that there's shenanigans going on. But I have to say with Kemp and Raffensperger, those two idiots shot themselves in the foot in 2020. It's too bad what they did.
Yeah, I keep hearing what you're saying, and I'm just starting to wonder if things have changed too much in Georgia. We've been told it's red. We believed it's red. It's red. It's red. Yet they put 2 Democrats in the Senate in 2021. And here we are in a fight for our life to get Walker elected. Kemp looks like he's going to win pretty easily, I think. But I don't know. I think the demographics in Atlanta have changed so much that it's really pulling. It's almost like New York. New York City controls it here. I don't know. Anybody else? Trish, what are you seeing?
I really, Atlanta controls Georgia. Let's just face it. That's where the people are. That's where the population density is. There are a couple of smaller cities in Atlanta, but in Georgia, but Atlanta is the major metropolitan. It's the metroplex. So that's where you're going to see your voting core. And unfortunately, it's a lot of people who think that if they vote Democrat, they're going to get free stuff. And I just can't believe that they are still voting that way, knowing that they haven't gotten the free stuff. So, how many times are you going to vote for the Democrats, hoping that you get the free stuff and not get the free stuff, but yet you're still going to keep voting for them? Isn't that like the textbook definition of insanity, where you could keep repeating the same behavior and expect different results?
Yeah.
But just updated here in Florida, both of the, it has been called Governor DeSantis up by 15 right now. So my prediction was 15. So I'm going to see if my 15 holds. And it also, Senate race has been called for Rubio. Right now, he is still up 12 points. Those two have been called, and most of our House seats are getting called right now. So we still have about half of them not in, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 called for, and 4 for Democrats. So
Yeah,
we'll see how the rest of them go.
There are the numbers if anybody wants to see some detail here. Again, about 75%. Yeah,
wow.
about 75% of the districts reporting. God bless Florida. I mean, talk about a state that went from purple to solid red. I mean, I remember, was it the 2000 election? George W. Bush, it was a nail biter in Florida. And what was it, the 2000 election or 2004 with the hanging chads and all that garbage?
2000.
That was 2000.
2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, a couple
Right
hundred
before
votes.
yeah, right before
Well, and
9/11.
just think,
Race,
DeSantis's
sorry.
last, oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, babe. I didn't want to interrupt. No, I was just going to say
No,
even DeSantis barely won when he was elected for his first term. I mean, it was like literally 50,000 votes was the difference between the Democrat. To look at that and then go to this where he's winning by 15 points, like that's a huge swing in 4 years. That's gigantic. So I can
How
only
bad
hope
is Chris as
for
a
the
candidate
rest.
when he does a worse performance than a naked gay guy in a hotel room?
Well,
Did he
you
make
gotta
any money?
remember, Charlie was a one-term governor as a Republican, and he was awful, which is why he didn't get reelected. And then he ran again as an independent and lost, and now he's running as a Democrat and he's losing. And a lot of people are just like, you can't even tell where this guy stands because he has completely changed on the political spectrum. So like, has he really become a Democrat, or is he just trying to go wherever he thinks he can get bankrolled to keep his,
He sounds like
his career is over.
A
This is
one-trick
it. He's
pony,
done.
right? I mean, is he like a one-trick pony? Is that it's done?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we call him flip flop. There's two things we call him: flip flop Charlie down here, or sorry Charlie. That's the big hashtag with the star kiss.
I think
hashtag sorry Charlie.
I think there are a few.
funny.
I think there are a few candidates whose political careers are over tonight. I think Charlie Crist is one of them. Beto O'Rourke is another of them, and Stacey Abrams is the third. I think all three of them are gone after tonight. I mean, Stacey Abrams is performing so poorly at this point that it makes her high watermark the last election, the 2018 election, where she claims that she didn't lose. So she's just become a caricature of herself. Go ahead, Matt.
The big loser in this tonight, JV, with Stacey Abrams is the fact that her election party is at Golden Corral there in Columbus, Georgia. So that's the big loser tonight. Is the Golden Corral in Columbus, Georgia, where her watch party is. That's what my sources tell me anyway.
Let's take a look at
Ohio. Can I talk Ohio?
Yeah, I was just going to put it up. Go ahead.
There. Yeah. I was just going to tell you. I'm just trying to look into this while everybody's been giving their insight. It's going to close really fast on this. Right now Tim Ryan's got a big lead, but you have to understand the big metros, right? Franklin County, which has Columbus, Hamilton County, all right, which has Cincinnati, okay, and then of course Cuyahoga County, which is up there where Cleveland is at, for example. Only 1% reporting, and Cuyahoga ends up being a little bit more conservative than Franklin and Hamilton County do, where you've got Columbus but the metros, they're 30 to 40% reporting right now. So that's why you're seeing the big lead for Tim Ryan. I think this is going to close rather quickly once Hamilton and Franklin and Cuyahoga are done. Then you're going to start to see this thing fill in completely red all around. You're going to have 3 blue dots, and then a ton of red on this map. So you can see the blue to the bottom left. The bottom left there is Hamilton County. In the very center, that blue is Columbus. And then up top, it's still showing red right now. I don't believe it's going to stay that way. Cuyahoga County, where Cleveland is up in the very northern part, northeast there of Ohio. But once those, and it's narrowing now. It's already, we're seeing the gap and the votes come in. I think J.D. Vance has a very good shot to win this state, especially once those metros are counted. So it looks good for Tim Ryan right now, but that's just because so much has been counted in those metro counties.
And that's the case
So
with a lot of these races. Go ahead, Trish.
Oh, I just read on Twitter that Lake and Masters are suing the state of Arizona. They've already filed a lawsuit.
Does it say why? What their contention is? What their assertions are?
Over the whole debacle in Maricopa.
The tabulating machine's not working. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's going to be a lot of
I will
this.
do some more investigating.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of these lawsuits coming from both sides. I have a feeling. Do we have? Well, we don't have anything from New York now. We're still 45 minutes away from New York closing. Pennsylvania numbers are coming in. When did Pennsylvania polls close?
They might have. It's 8:15 out there. They could have.
Yeah, and I think one county in Pennsylvania was having trouble with ballots, so they had to extend their hours. But let's take a look at what's coming.
Going to 10 o'clock, yeah. And that one in Luzerne. Yep.
So Pennsylvania polls are closed, and Fetterman at this point, again, with only 4.4% of districts reporting, has an 84% to 14% lead. Shapiro 88 to Mastriano's 10%. What do you hear from Mastriano's camp, Matt? I mean, you're a good friend of yours and good candidate.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly would be stunned if Doug doesn't have a good showing here and almost win this thing, if not win it outright. I mean, I cannot understand how Pennsylvanians would vote for Shapiro. I don't know how they would vote for somebody who's going to back Biden and Obama policies to shut down coal, to shut down steel, to shut down manufacturing. It's mind-numbing to me that anyone at this point could vote Democrat with the state that the United States of America is in. When you look at empty shelves, we're almost out of diesel, for God's sakes. We talked about that a few weeks ago. It's actually here. We're almost out of diesel. We've got empty shelves. We've got North Korea and South Korea are literally firing missiles at each other like they're having a bottle rocket war. It's a hell of a time. I mean, we're in tatters right now as a nation. In 20 months, this is what they've done. This is what happens when you give the Democrats full control of the nation.
Yeah.
So I'm stunned here in Pennsylvania if Mastriano doesn't have a shot to win. I mean, if Fetterman wins, it's honestly, it's not even a vote thing for me. I just have lost a lot of hope in humanity.
Yeah. Yep.
And I mean, it's crazy, JB.
Matt brought up diesel shortages, fuel oil shortages, which many of us rely on to heat our homes during a very, very cold winter months of upstate New York. Energy shortages all the way around. And I will remind folks, we played this earlier. I'm going to play it again. If you have been uncertain about where Joe Biden stands on energy in this country, ignore everything he's been saying for the last 3 months because he accidentally told the truth in front of a microphone over the course of the weekend.
No more drilling. There is no more drilling. I haven't formed any new drilling.
5 more years of offshore drilling.
No,
In the Atlantic or the Pacific, but in the Antarctic and off the Gulf of New Mexico, or off the Gulf of Mexico.
that was before I was president. We're trying to work on that, get that done. Thank you.
So in addition to all the drilling that he's already killed, and he's not going to approve anymore, he's trying to kill permits that have already been approved by previous administrations in the Gulf of Mexico, off the Alaskan coast, and in other places. If anybody had any confusion where the Democrats are, led by Joe Biden, where they are on energy, gas, oil, petroleum in general, fossil fuels in general, Joe Biden, at the end of his speech, when he thought it was all over, still had the mic in his hand, and you heard him. There's no uncertainty anymore, BA. Oh, go ahead, Matt, then we'll go to BA.
No, I don't have a whole lot to add. I just would love to go around the horn here and see, did I just see what everyone else said? Did Joe Biden just get his ass handed to him by a 7-year-old?
He was pissed because she didn't take his answer. She
Was
started
that like a 7-year-old that just kicked his ass in a debate right there?
Yeah, well,
wow.
Yeah.
I bet she
Definitely
smelled
a
good.
college freshman.
I bet she smelled good though.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
So here we go. Fun fact for all the Florida fans out there. So Pinellas and Hillsborough County are the two counties that encompass the metro Tampa Bay area. Both were blue in 2020. So Pinellas County was barely blue, 0.3% for Biden, and Hillsborough County was plus 6.8% for Biden in 2020. Pinellas was 9%, 9-point DeSantis win, and Hillsborough was a 7-point DeSantis win.
Oh, wow.
So so the entire Tampa Bay Metroplex flipped red,
And
is
that's
huge,
military.
which means
That's a lot of military. Trish,
yeah,
I was down there, right? I mean, MacDill
Yeah.
Air Force Base. I wasn't there too long ago. Like I guess several months ago, I stayed there on base. Yeah, it's a pretty military town.
But it was a very blue town, but now it is not a very blue town. I am proud to report.
Amen and hallelujah.
Let's talk a little bit about North
Yeah.
Carolina. This is an important Senate battle as well. There are 45% or so of the ballots in, or the precincts reporting, and right now it looks little upside down from where we want it to be. 53% for Beasley, 45% for Budd. You're close to that, BA. What do you think? Is this going to be okay?
They're right above us. So I can't see the Democrats winning unless they cheat. I just can't see that. I mean, we are the South here. So I'm perplexed. Like 2 years ago, I think Forrest was running, and I think that they stole it. I just keep thinking that they stole it because I'm going to jump on Matt's back, piggyback off of what he said. There's no way in hell that the majority of America are voting. So in hell, we have a bunch of illegals coming in and that have come in and that have IDs. Are they voting? Hell yes, they're voting. Of course they are. I can't, this makes absolutely no sense. I think there's probably some sort of United Nations interference as well. I mean, I don't think that's conspiratorial at all, but this makes absolutely no sense. The numbers of what the Democrats, like, I'm going to go back to Crystal Matthews, who lost to Tim Scott, our senator who just won. Crystal Matthews was something around 40% after she said she couldn't stand white people, and Project Veritas blew it out. There's no way in hell. That makes absolutely no sense. That's too close. There's still cheating going on. But North Carolina, I mean, I have my fingers crossed, but I just don't. North Carolinians, come on, they're a lot of them are Republicans. You have Fort Bragg there as well. Charlotte's a hellhole, though, I have to tell you. There's BLM everywhere. Charlotte is crazy. It's really bad up there. Yes.
The problem is the
true.
triangle is where the majority of the people in North Carolina live, is the triangle. And it's very deep blue in the triangle.
That is true.
And I used to live in North Carolina. Camp Lejeune right here. So, that unfortunately, the triangle really causes a lot of problems for North Carolina because they really control the bulk of what's going on, because that's where the bulk of the population is in North Carolina.
You're right. So we've got to get electoral. We need another amendment. We need to have an electoral college in every single state because everybody else gets disenfranchised. And the people that want free crap and get their free bus rides everywhere and their free iPhone, they are controlling the entire state. So that's what's happening. It's really upsetting. But I'm all for secession. I've been for secession since Obama. So if something's going to happen.
Asking another question too, guys. Battle Axe and other BA and others. I mean, like, how in the hell are we as a first world country struggling to have machines that function 100% of the time in these damn elections every time?
Yeah.
What in the hell?
Not a coincidence.
I mean, you've got one job. You had 2 years to prepare for this in all these damn states, and so it's a major issue here. Arkansas polls close in 6 minutes. Here where we're at. So I'm looking to see if we have a quick, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, victory, as well as John Bozeman for the U.S. Senate, as well as Steve Womack for Congress, along with Rick Crawford and some other, great congressional members we have out of this state. So I'm hoping that if it goes the way I think it's going to go, and I hope, that it's, I could make the announcement within the first 5-10 minutes. I mean, if not, then there's going to be a lot of Arkansans going, what the hell is going on in our system, if that makes sense. If Sarah Huckabee Sanders is not declared the winner in the first 30 minutes, I think we're going to have some real question marks here. I mean, my God. I mean, you talk about Lee Zeldin being an upset if he beats Hochul, but, Chris Jones beating Sarah Huckabee Sanders would be, Reagan-esque, I guess, so to speak. It would be bad here in this state. Yeah. So that's coming as well. A lot of polls were probably 5 minutes on some, and I'd say another 35 minutes on. There's going to be about 15 states, I think, polls closing here in the next 35 minutes, JB.
Yeah, almost 8:30 on the East Coast. Go ahead, Trish.
CNN's getting desperate, y'all. CNN's John King just said, and I quote, "Stay off social media, people. If you're trying to figure out, are there real issues with voting, trust your local officials and trust us here.
Oh boy.
Direct quote.
Trust CNN.
Trust CNN,
Dear
y'all.
God.
Here's my
man.
prediction. If you want to see the CNN anchors smiling, tune in now. Because that's when you will not see it later.
Yeah, there's going to be more weeping, like the night they did when Trump won. They were all crying. They were all beside themselves. They couldn't handle it. All right, so it's about almost 8:30 here. We got some more polls closing in about a half hour. Again, what we're doing is just trying to update people as we can, along with have some spirited discussion about not just the state of the election and the races that are on the docket tonight, but also the state of the country and the issues and what's happening in general. So we're doing all of that. We've got right now, we've got JR, Battle Axe, Trish, and Matt. I know Vince is in the wings. We're going to bring him in a minute. We've got a few other Independence Gang guest panelists that'll be
Vince
joining
is
us.
Jump in. I've got the BBC channel. I'm going to hop over real
Okay.
quick.
Yeah.
And can I come back in a few minutes?
Yeah, just give me a text when you're ready to come back.
Yeah,
Yep, perfect.
You. Yeah,
perfect.
I'm going to pop in and out, guys, and thank you guys for doing what you're doing. This is going to be God, I thought it might be a quick night, but it may not be a quick night here.
Yeah.
It may be a long night, so
I
we'll
think
see
it
what
will be.
happens. But I'll be back in a few, everyone.
Okay, so Matt'll join us in just a few minutes. But one of the things I've noticed about this campaign season, JR, is that the Youngkin sweater vests or fleece vests have caught on with all candidates. Have you noticed that? Somehow they think that vest was partially responsible for Youngkin winning the gubernatorial election in Virginia. So they're all wearing these vests.
Well, you know what? I really haven't changed my size or weight in literally 30 years. So I actually have a few vests in my closet. I mean, I don't outgrow them, so maybe I need to start pulling out a vest, and brighten my day. But I haven't noticed that, to be honest, too much with the sweater vest. But if it works, guess what? Politics is inherently superstitious, so it doesn't surprise me.
Okay, so we're getting Vince connected here. He'll be with us in just a second. We've got a few others in the wings. If anybody on this panel is needs a break for 10, 15 minutes, well, raise your finger because we have people willing to jump in here. So just let me know. I don't know if anybody needs to do anything.
If you want, anytime you want to kick me off, that feel free. Like, I'll take a break. I'm not we have a hurricane coming, so I don't have to go to work tomorrow.
Oh,
so,
nice. Okay.
I can come in and off whenever you need me.
All right, awesome. All right, that'll be great. So let's get Vince in here and hear what he has to say when he gets connected. And then, Trish, I think I'll let you take a break, and I'll bring John in, who's anxious to jump on and offer some opinion as well. And then we'll bring you back, Trish, so don't go too far when that happens. Don't go too far.
I'll be near my phone.
If you want to kick me off as well, Trish and I will just go to the kitchen and do the dishes. That's where we should be, right? So
make some snacks.
Let me just doing the dishes here, so this doesn't look sexist or anything, but I am more than willing to help.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. So we have a couple others. I know Kimberly is going to join us at some point tonight as well. And as I said, John will be here. So, but everybody who's here now, I hope you plan on staying for the long haul and coming back, even if you take a bit of a break. I'm just filibustering right now while I wait to get Vince connected. Where the heck is he?
Okay, so good. So update on the Georgia governor. It is now 50% Abrams, 49% Kemp. So it's pretty much a dead heat right now.
Okay.
With 34%
Okay. All right. Oh my gosh. Please, everybody pray for Georgia. Georgia's a wonderful state. Let's just please pray for Georgia.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up these numbers for Georgia too, so we can look at it, because obviously we want to know what's going on with Warnock and Walker. It's getting closer. It's still 8 points apart. So hopefully that those numbers will continue to get closer, and eventually we'll see the Walker on top in that race. What do you think, BA? Let's start with you. What do you think of Herschel Walker as a candidate? I've said from the beginning, he seems like a very sincere man, but I don't know that he's been a great candidate.
I have to agree with you. I mean, Trump came in and he supported, usually the mega candidates are doing pretty well, and he supported, and I do think he is sincere. He loves Georgia. He loves God. He made mistakes just like the rest of us. And maybe he's not that eloquent, but his heart, he's got a great heart. I have a friend who knows him who went to Columbia County, which is right by Augusta in Rich County. I like him, but I just think that he maybe needed to be sanded around the edges a bit. Maybe a little bit more polished, and I think that would have helped him a lot. But Warnock, I do not believe he won 2 years ago. There's no way in hell he would have voted. Georgia would have voted for that. That guy, I call him the warlock. He is just some sort of pastor who wants to kill babies in the womb. There's something wrong with him. Definitely. There's something off. There's something wrong with him. But I do pray that Walker wins. I would have liked to have seen maybe another candidate who is a little bit more polished. And like I said, he has a really good heart. He loves Georgia, and the Georgia dogs, they love him. But I would be happily surprised if Walker does win.
You'll be happily surprised if he wins?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure if he's going to win or not, but I will be, if he wins, I'll be happily surprised. So I don't know if he can actually pull it off.
Vince is joining us, one of our regular panelists on the Independence Gang. Rumors are he's at an ABBA fan club meeting. I'm not sure if that's true.
Air Supply.
Dancing Queen?
Air Supply. Okay.
I'm at an Air Supply convention tonight. I've skipped
what's
election day altogether to attend an Air Supply convention.
Are you all out of love?
Oh, definitely. I definitely am.
Oh,
Yeah.
what are you hearing? What are you seeing, Vince? Hope you have some good news for us.
Well, from the standpoint of the House, that's looking really good. That looks like it's going to go. I don't know the exact numbers right now, but I know most projections are that it's leaning pretty well that the Republicans are going to take the House tonight. The Senate, like we thought, is going to be really close, but I mean, it doesn't look like we might get there right now. But there's a couple. I'd say the first place all eyes need to be is Pennsylvania. That's going to be the starter. If we take Pennsylvania, I think we'll get some things to roll, and then it'll start there in Pennsylvania. They're already fighting in Pennsylvania over how long it's going to take some of these places. I know Philadelphia has come out to say it's going to take 3 days to get the final results. So, they're playing games already.
Jeez.
Whatever it takes.
But nationally, that looks good. And then, of course, 9:00 is the next round of poll closing. So.
Yeah. Do you get any kind of early numbers on what kind of turnout? I mean, I know you talked about New York City's heavy turnout, but what about party breakdown? Are Republicans turning out more than Democrats as a percentage of their registration, or do you have anything like that?
Well, everything. I mean, this is obviously in New York, but elsewhere is that it's turning out to be. I don't want to say a regular election, but it may be a little bit elevated. But the Republicans and Democrats are coming out as you would expect it. So it seems like there's equal energy. It seems like there's at least you're on tap in most places to have elevated but not historic turnout, which is not necessarily bad news. When I know on the show last week, we were kind of talking about a district by district type of analysis of where things need to go tonight. And I think what we're looking at is those red districts are going to go red, which is going to put us over in the House, keep us close in the Senate. But that's kind of what we're seeing all over the place is just that. So, where we're supposed to do well, it looks like we should do well. I think there's going to be a number of toss-up seats that are actually going to be that tonight. They're going to be toss-ups, and they're going to be interesting to watch tonight how those fall out.
Yeah, I don't know if you've been watching any of the early returns coming in from like Ohio. Obviously, Florida's been called for both Rubio and DeSantis. Yep. That was called pretty early. Right. Both kind of fell into what I think we expected, certainly what Trish expected. But as far as like Ohio and Georgia, some of these early returns, I'm assuming that those numbers are heavily weighted towards those mail-in voting numbers as opposed to people showing up on Election Day.
Yeah. They've really started, most states, I know in New York that's the case, is they're in a situation where all of the early voting is in already. So the first numbers you see, early voting, you're going to see maybe some absentees start counted depending on the state. So you're going to see that stuff come in first, and then then it's all up to each board of elections, county by county, on who gets their numbers in. The one trend that we did see in early voting is that Republicans are now actually taking advantage of early voting. So you're seeing an even number. Historically, it doesn't really, there's no statistical anything to back up the fact that early voting increases turnout. It just kind of spreads it out. But the good news is, and something that we've always contended with, is Republicans were kind of we were kind of a little late to get on board with the early voting thing, and it's actually a good idea for us to do that because what we've essentially done is instead of election day, we have an election 2 weeks, and what the Democrats were doing in many states, because we were staying away from early voting, is Democrats were taking the 2 weeks to get their people out, and we were confining our voters to one single day. And, quite frankly, I know there was a lot of the last couple of elections, a lot of talk about, don't use mail-in, you can't trust it, don't vote early, just vote on election day. And we were kind of narrowing, when our folks could vote. So certainly Republicans are getting more comfortable with the idea of early voting, which, as far as the big picture, like it or not, it's actually a good thing for us. So we've at least neutralized some of any advantage that could come to the Democrats for early voting.
All right. How long can you stay in this particular visit with us, Vince? You got a few minutes, or you have to?
Yeah, I'm done working for the year, so I'm good.
Okay, I just didn't know if Air Supply was going to take the stage soon. I wasn't really sure what was happening. So, nice.
I'm here. We're good. I'm here.
Okay, I'm going to give Trish a break, and I'm going to bring John in here a minute. We're going to get Trish back, so she's not going to go very far. She's just going to get herself a refreshment and keep track of the numbers for us, and we'll bring.
Don't forget to iron, Trish. Trish, you have a lot of ironing to do. Okay, get that done.
I know, and I should bring everybody some finger foods when I come back. So I'll have sandwiches for everyone.
Would be really, really thoughtful. That would be really great. All right, and forgive forgive the big Vince on the screen there. I got to fix that. But BA, any new numbers? Anything you've seen? JR, either of you guys have anything you want to bring up?
Well, I'm a bit selfish right now because I'm fixated on South Carolina. Sorry. But this is just very interesting with South Carolina. Now, everybody and their mother, they probably know who Jim Clyburn is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So there's a really great guy, conservative Duke. We wanted Duke to win, but it doesn't look like that is the case. But everything else shows, except for Nancy Mace. I mean, she looks like she's in real trouble. But we've got red all the way down the line. And for Annie Andrews to overtake Mace, because people are fed up with Mace, that is like District 1 is heavily like a, Charleston area, Beaufort area. So for her to overtake it, that's going to be a real loss to us. If Annie Andrews wins, that's going to be a real loss. But, Mace is a rhino. What did she expect?
Yeah.
But,
Mace talked a really good game in the beginning. She really seemed to be
she sure did.
The right candidate at the right time with towing the right line. And then all of a sudden something changed. Anybody know what happened? What changed?
She's a prom queen.
Oh.
Yeah, she's a prom queen, and she just was going on show to show to show, and people have had it with her down here. And so there's a lot of people that didn't vote for her. They were just absolutely tired of it. But she would say one thing like, "Wear your mask," get vaccinated on one show, and say, "Don't get vaccinated. You're not a doctor." She flip-flopped, and then she went in front of Trump Plaza Tower and begged him. I mean, it was so pathetic. So I'm not surprised that she's so low in the numbers. But what's really nice is Russell Fry, who fried Rice's ass, kicked him out of there. And so it looks like Russell Fry is going to, I think it's District 7. I could be wrong about that. But it looks like he might just take that. And so Trump went to bat for him as well. So we'll see what's going on in South Carolina. But South Carolina is pretty much red, except for possibly Annie Andrews, District 1, and then, of course, the dreaded Clyburn, who's been in there since 1850. He just won't go away.
Yeah. I want to bring these Georgia numbers back up because they're changing. Kemp has now taken the lead over Abrams with 37.75%, reporting 51-48. Walker's closing the gap, but he's still 5 points behind. JR, you seeing anything else, or do you have any comment on Georgia numbers?
Yeah, I was watching Kemp close quicker than seemingly Walker is. So that seems a little concerning to me. If they're trending at the same pace, I would hope I would see Walker, be closing that gap a la Kemp. But I think, to be fair, I think Kemp will win fairly handily at the end here. And I think we got a little bit of a nail biter more with Walker and Warnock. But you know, I think it's safe to say that, as we talked about earlier, that the trends are going to be, these races are going to narrow as the non-urban and the early voting overweighting takes less effect in the totals. So it's some of these tight ones. I just see Vance is 45, Ryan is 55, 33% in Ohio. I think Vance will win that race. So he's 10 down, with a little bit less than half of the vote in. So I think we're going to see a lot of these narrow. I don't see any that are being run away that are, unexpected at this point anywhere. Vince, do you have any update in New York at all, though, that you haven't commented on yet?
No, there's nothing. Nothing. We won't hear anything in New York till after 9 o'clock now, as far as anything.
I was just curious, though, if the city is that big of a turnout, is it possible that they're that pissed off that that's not all bad?
Sure. You always have that chance. It's just here at this point, right? It's outside the norm of what we're used to, right? It's what we normally see, and as I've said before, it's at some point it's no longer politics in New York. It's math, and it's just bad math for Republicans. So yeah, absolutely. Could New Yorkers be coming out pissed off at New Yorkers are known to come out pissed off at the world on things, right? And could this be one of those elections they do it? Sure. Nothing is indicated that that's necessarily going to happen overwhelmingly on a statewide level. So we're gonna have to wait and see on that one. I will add, JR, the one thing about one thing about the Georgian that I like to see, though, is that you've got places like it looks like Atlanta's mostly in, right? And some of those areas. So that's actually really good news. I think it's still gonna be pretty tight for Walker, but overall it's some good news. And there's, when you look at what's not in yet, it's stuff that's it's along that Alabama-Florida border there. I kind of like that those those are the numbers we're waiting for. That's actually not a bad thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I changed states on you there.
No, I have a question about that too, because I'm trying to remember in 2020, it was in Atlanta. Was it Fulton County? Is that the county that there was so much trouble in?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. Fulton County.